Before we start, just a couple things. So feel free to chat in questions and comments, curiosities, any of those types of things. Always good to have interaction. So our format is a little faster and shorter than we were doing last year. So last week we talked about choices, and today we're going to talk about thoughts. And this is a really cool subject because now we're going to talk about the choices in our thoughts. And so some of you probably have heard this. So thoughts are magnetic. So what we think about is what we attract. Who's heard that? Show of hands. Okay. So, and we're going to talk about how do we know that in just a second. But so every thought that we have sends a signal, that a signal that's actually received. Now, you can make a question. The question is, depending on your belief system, well, who receives it? So some people might say God, some people might say the universe, some people might say source. But no matter what your belief system, every thought that we have has a frequency and an energy to it, and it is received. So we have to be really, really careful about what we broadcast. Really, almost every thought we have is important. And we need to choose our words carefully, right? Because our thoughts then get translated into words. And really, language is about taking a thought. I want you to think about this for a second. Language is about taking a thought, converting it to a symbol, because letters are symbols, okay? And then we launch that, okay, into the universe or into our conversations or into the space with people, however you want to look at it. So we need to choose our words carefully and choose our thoughts carefully because they all carry a frequency. And even unkind words or swearing or insults, even in jests, right, can carry a frequency that really we might not want. And, you know, I mean, look, like none of us are perfect. You know, I have my moments about, you know, little sputterings that go out that maybe shouldn't. However, it's important though that to the extent we can that we're mindful about the words we use and the thoughts we have, because they all carry a frequency and they all can come back to us. Now, and I think we've all seen this in our day-to-day lives, right? Energy flows where attention goes. So once we focus on something, once we give it a focus, our energy goes there. So we've all had the experience where we focused on a thing. Maybe it's learning a language, or it's getting into physical shape, or it's getting better at a hobby, or focusing on our kids or relationships, or whatever the case may be, you know, focusing on a work project. But our attention is based on the energy that we give things. And so once we put our attention on things, that's where we're sending, right? That's where we're sending our energy, right? And words are no different. And if you think that, you know, well, you know, maybe that, you know, really do we really all give off energy and all that? Well, just for fun, I showed you this Carillion photo, which depicts an aura. So, you know, science now has gotten to the point where things are measurable. We can measure the fields around us. We can measure that the brain and the heart have a different magnetic frequency. Okay, the magnetic field of the heart is 50 times greater than that of the brain. Right? We can measure these things, and so when we're choosing our thoughts, we have to choose them wisely. And it's kind of fun, actually, once you get into a rhythm around it and not judge yourself, but you get a rhythm around, you know, kind of monitoring your thoughts, because whatever thought you send out is what you're going to get back. And here's the thing about when you send out a thought. I'm gonna characterize it as the universe. If you just that's kind of the parlance that I use. So just, you know, bear with me on that. Once you send a thought out, it's very agnostic, okay? It's like a radio station. A radio station sends out, let's just say it's modern country. It sends it out. It doesn't care, okay, whether you like it or not, right? If you want to keep that station on, then you'll keep it on, okay? But when you send a thought out, the receiver of it, right, the universe, for instance, is very agnostic about it. It just knows, well, that's what you sent. So that must be what you want. Okay. So again, whatever type of creation or belief system you have, just understand that whatever thoughts you're sending, the receiving of it is agnostic. Because obviously, if Chris sent out this thought, then that's the thought that's what I'm going to get back. It's non-judgmental. That's probably the better way to put it. Science is getting better and better at being able to help define some of these things. So we are in the prove it type culture, and we are, in the Western sense, we've been kind of educated to only believe what we can see. And we are in kind of a prove it type culture. And so here are some everyday experiences. I'm going to give you just two everyday experiences that we've all had. So who has had the feeling that you're being stared at? Raise your hands. All right, is that everybody? Raise your hand. Keep your hands up. All right. Yeah, you too, Courtney. Keep your hands up. We know you've been stared at. All right. So, okay. So you're being stared at. Did anybody tell you you were being stared at? Did anybody slip you a note that said, hey, Ron, by the way, you're being stared at, turn around? No. Okay. That was energy directed at you. Everybody with me on that? That's day-to-day proof. We all have it. We've all experienced. We've either stared at somebody and they've all of a sudden pretty quickly turned around. It's not like this like slow looking. It's pretty quick, right? Or we've been stared at and we automatically get the signal and we turn around. Now, here's the other one that I like even more. If you want to talk about proof about where energy goes. So we've all had, raise your hands, we've all had the experience that I'm trying to think of someone's name or a phone number or the name of a song or something like that, and I can't think of it. In the moment, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, and I'm pushing, right? We push hard to remember that, okay? We push hard. When does it come to us? It comes to us once we stop thinking about it, because we've released the thought, okay, out into the field. We've released it, and now it's coming back to us with the information. So we're pushing and pushing and pushing. We set the intention. We want to know what this is. Now, this is kind of trite. This is the name of a song, by example, right? This is nothing earth-shattering. But we've set the intention that I need to know what this is. And then as soon as we let go, that intention then has been launched out, okay, into the field. And then more often than not, if we're in the receiving mode, the information will come back to us. And the moment that we start thinking about it and thinking about it hard, you're in that hard, what is that, right? Moment, our energy is kind of locked that. It's kind of locked onto that, and it's not gonna let the thought go. Okay, it's not gonna let the thought go out into the field until we let go of it. So those are two really good examples about how our thoughts and how our thoughts are energetic and how they travel. So if you want proof of it, it's kind of a fun exercise to kind of go through your day and look at the instances where thoughts come back to you, because you can find them in a lot of different places. Okay. You can find them at work. They may feel like synchronicities, which they kind of are in a certain sense, but they'll come back to you. And so being able to track that is really kind of fun. And then once you get that, then you get a real sense of how powerful and how magnetic our thoughts are. And they can be in small things and they can be in big things, because you know what? the field source doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know the difference between large or small. It just knows that this is what has been sent. Okay, so try that on during your day-to-day activities, because it really can be a lot of fun. So how do we know? So you are the only one that knows what signals you are sending. And you need to match your signals with your true intent. And that's what you'll get back. So you're the only one that knows really what you want. Now, there might be, I think that we all get into cases where we think, maybe that outwardly we want something, or outwardly maybe we think we're supposed to want something, but that's not really what we want on the inside, right? So it's really a matter of knowing, what do you really want and what is your true intent, okay? And when you align that true intent with your thoughts, because your thoughts are magnetic, okay? Once they're in alignment, all right, then that will come back to you. But it's really important that we understand about what our actual, what our real intent is, because we're the only ones. So, it's a little bit like when we were brought up, and I remember these lessons. I had my grandfathers, both of them. I was fortunate that I had both sets of grandparents growing up. And my grandfathers were different men, but they both had the same kind of mindset. One of the things that I always remember, that actually I teach my grandchildren, is that you always want to do the very best job you can, even though no one's looking. Because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It only matters what you think. It only matters what you know. And if you're the only one that knows you did something right, well, that's good enough. It doesn't need to be any better than that. And so that's what we're talking about, is that, you're the only one that knows what signals you're sending. So be true to yourself about what thoughts you have, because those thoughts, okay, are going to come back to you because they're magnetic. Match it up with your intent, and then you can rock and roll on whatever you want to rock and roll on. So, questions, comments? I didn't see any chats this morning. So next week we're going to talk. So we've done choices and we've done thoughts. Next week we're going to do feelings, and then the week after that we're going to talk about conditional living, which is going to be really fun. So these all kind of line up in sequence with everybody. Line up in sequence with one another. So have an amazing week. It was good to start the week out with everybody, and take care.